Hi, my name is Brody, and this is Point Prim. Point Prim is home to one of my favorite lighthouses on the island. I've visited the lighthouse itself a great many times over the years. My first time going up to the beacon deck was for work, but I head back up any trip I have time to spare. When cruise ships were running, you could sit along the water at Point Prim and watch as the gargantuan vessel crawled its way across the horizon, leaving the port of Charlottetown for whatever destination was next on the itinerary. Now the majority of what you see is the silhouette of Nova Scotia across the strait, my home away from home. Point Prim means a lot to me. Over the years, it's become a signature of being home. I would spend a lot of my time in the summer around that end of the island, taking the ferry across to Nova Scotia every other weekend. In fact, I would travel across so frequently, the staff would usually recognize me, and if I was early, or if it wasn't very busy, we would just have idle chit-chat. I came to feel quite comfortable around the ferry terminal. You might be thinking that this is starting to sound like a pretty nice video idea, and I thought so too when I decided on Point Prim. But like every single one of these videos, when I got to the location, a new story drew me in. This story takes place on a much smaller scale, in almost an entirely different world. Tide pools have been something I've been interested in for years. I've always found the small amalgamations of life to be awe-inspiring. Tide pools are created when the tide goes out, but due to rocky topography, small pools form, where water and aquatic life come together and wait for the tide to return. With PEI having so many sandy beaches, it actually becomes rather uncommon to see tide pools as intricate as the ones at Point Prim. Not to say that these are teeming with all kinds of varieties of sea life, but the ones that are here are more than interesting enough on their own to talk about. It's not rare to find crabs along the coast of PEI. However, it is a bit rare to find one that lets you observe it in action. Often, if you see one alive along the beach, it's making a beeline for the safety of the surf. Or, if you're unlucky enough to happen upon one without noticing, you may get the business end of a pinch, wading through some seagrass. There really is something about just watching as a crab searches around for food, or a place to hide, and ultimately just settles down to wait out the tidal change. To watch a creature become so sedentary while its environment changes so drastically around it is remarkable. I can honestly say, before this trip, I had never just watched long enough to notice a starfish gently begin crawling around in search of deeper water. In fact, I don't even think I've ever watched long enough to notice them move, period. There's something about taking a moment to observe the world around you, looking at the constantly changing elements that happen every day. There's so much to learn and come to understand in these moments, whether it be as long as a tidal shift or as seemingly short as a gust of wind. Something is happening beneath the surface that, for the most part, we brush aside as everyday occurrences. You wouldn't be wrong for assuming that taking the time to learn more about an everyday occurrence could diminish some of the magic that imagination holds over it. However, it makes way for a deeper understanding. And in that understanding, imagination and creativity thrive. Coming to understand something, for me at least, only adds on to the complexity of the natural magic things like tide pools exude. Taking an hour to observe how the world is moving around you in the grand scheme of things will not make you an expert on the matter. Hell, it might not even help you come to an understanding. However, it's a habit I've done my very best to cultivate, so that someday I may hopefully come to understand just a bit more of the connections between everyday occurrences. Point Prim is a place I've been that has connected special occasions with everyday occurrences for me. It's a place that has served as a beacon in more ways than one. Most importantly, it's a place that has helped me take the time to observe and attempt to understand the world around me. After all, It's more than interesting enough on its own to talk about.